Yeah. So yeah, basically, we had this whole thing where stupid shit. Like one of our friends got on our, you know how you can like edit Wikipedia, like anyone can do it. So our friend Toby got into our Wikipedia one day and like made this whole thing up about us like meeting in Hong Kong and and like I used to play in mariachi bands and stuff, but like it was all.
I'm so happy you brought this up first because like I was looking at your Wikipedia yesterday.
It was
that
a
would have
thing.
been embarrassing.
It was really funny to us because like if you write something in your Wikipedia, like people would interview you and they'd be like, "What was it like growing up in Mexico?" I was like, "I'm from England, clearly, man." But it was really funny. So, but yeah, we never met in Hong Kong through mariachi bands. Like he's a friend of a friend from London. Like actually, the first time I met James, we were in this club, and I was with a girl at the time. She went missing for about 40 minutes, and I went out to the smoking area, and she was talking to James, and I'd never met him before. Like they'd been out there for a second. I was like, girl, what's going on here? So I had a bit of a beef with James at first because I don't know what he was doing, man. He was I never trusted that guy. It took a couple years. That was the first time I met him, and then a few years later, so James has always been like a very talented like producer and mixer and stuff. So I knew a bunch of his friends, and he used to work for this guy called Mike Spencer. He's actually quite a like sick mixer and like producer and additional producer who lives in England. And so I guess around the time I started releasing my first like remixes and stuff, I seen him out in a pub somewhere, and he was like, "Hey, you know what? I actually like finish records for people and stuff like that." So we kind of made friends. I was always a bit skeptical of him as a dude, but nice guy though, probably.
Probably, hopefully.
No, but no. So yeah, I guess so. He was working as like a mixer, additional producer, all that type of stuff, and he'd done like Emily's Sunday. He'd done a few like rudimental records and stuff. There was like a few things that he worked on, and he was always really sick. Like I don't think he never had any A levels or anything like school qualifications or whatever. But like he was just really, really good at music. So he always used to make his own stuff, and he managed to get like an internship or like a job with this guy who's he's made so many sick records. And James was just kind of working for him for a bit and kind of helping him out with his like. I don't know exactly what. So I kind of met him a few years later, and he was like, "Oh man, I could mix your record for you." And I broke up with the girl who he'd been trying to chirps at the time. So I was like, "Man, maybe we could be friends now." And that's how it started.
And you guys are cool.
Yeah. Now we're cool, kind of, a little bit.
Wait, so that's interesting. So it sounds like you, at least at the beginning, you had like complementary skill sets. Like he was
absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, for me, like when I was starting making beats, like I knew I couldn't make music that well, but like I knew I had really good ideas. So I'd be making just kind of it was honestly it was like very basic kind of like sample based hip hop music, and I guess I just heard it in a different way. And like around the time when I started making beats, it's probably 2010. So I really got into Hudson Mohawk and like Taku and people like that. And there was this whole wave of stuff going on where it was like people were sampling old school stuff and making old school stuff, but like they were producing it so sick. So it didn't sound like it was from the 90s. It was just really, really, really cool. And so I got really like caught up in that whole thing. I think like literally I got Hudson Mohawk's first mixtape is like my favorite fucking album ever. It's so sick. It has all of the like stylings of old school hip hop, but he like just brought it so forward, and I think it really inspired me to just kind of like start making drums that were kind of swang, and like the production wasn't really, really perfect, but it just had this vibe to it, you know, and that's basically I never really like felt. I remember like making really, really early beats, and I would send them out to like anyone. I used to send them to like Hudson Mohawk and stuff. I'd be like, "Bro, like check out my beats." You know, I was like, "I know they're not that good, but like you can," cause I knew that the ideas were there, but I didn't know how to execute it that well. And I think then meeting James, he was kind of like already in that world of like producing and like building stuff up. So he could kind of take something that I'd done as an idea and turn it into like a real thing. And that's definitely how it worked in the first place. Like I think the first record we worked on together as like Snakehips was like a remix. So it was a remix that it was like Wild Bell. I can't remember what the song was called. It's Too Late. And like I just did it, and he was like, bro, because I think it was commissioned by a record label, so it was like, I need to get this sounding fly, otherwise they're not gonna like take my remix. So he like just built the whole thing up and added drums to it and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of like that. It was like I'd make something that sounded a bit frowsy, and then he would like take it on and turn it into like a proper sounding production type of thing.
Yeah, that's a really cool story, because I feel like it sounds like that allowed you to be a lot more prolific like early on. Just to like finish stuff and get it out there. And like, I feel like maybe like younger producers, they feel like they need to be like amazing at every aspect.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And like, it's so many, and that frustrates me a little bit, because you always see people being like, they made like a million beats and it's like, this is a work in progress. I'm not trying to share this with people, but like my like mindset in the first place, and maybe it's, you know, it's probably not completely right, but I think being like scared to share your stuff with people is just not the right way to go about it, because I would kind of be like, I know this doesn't sound that good, but if you don't fuck with it, like, you're an idiot type of thing. Like, not in like an arrogant way, but I always knew that I had good ideas, so I would kind of be like, look, I know this doesn't sound that fresh, but like, if you can't hear the potential in this, like, you know what I mean? I always saw it as more of like a composition, like a songwriter type thing. It was like, I'd make a beat, but I'd like sample some vocals over it and stuff, and it was never really about like flexing on like a production level. It was more just like, look, this is a good song, like in a kind of song terms. And I feel like sometimes people not really care about how polished your production is, but it's like if you have a good enough idea there, then it kind of sounds fly anyway. And if you don't hear that, then you don't hear that. But like, shit, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the average person or like listener, I guess,
right,
doesn't care that you like use the plugin or whatever.
No, like yeah.
Yeah.